was June of last year we started, and now it's July, and we did not even acknowledge that. But like I said, that's going to have to wait for now because I haven't planned a first anniversary celebration at all. So we'll leave that, but at least with God's grace, we've been here for just over a year, and with His grace, we'll press on further. So welcome to one and all, and of course I want to greet everyone who are listening here on the island of Nevis, whether you're in St. James, St. Thomas Parish, St. Paul, St. John's, St. George Parish, all of the areas that are covered in these parishes. I want to welcome you to this show this afternoon. Of course, I know Von Radio is the station of choice here on the island of Nevis, and it has been that way for many years. I want to also welcome all listeners down in St. Kitts who meet me from time to time and say that they are indeed listening to the programming out of Von Radio, and of course this show is included. So I want to welcome all those who have joined us there on our sister island of St. Kitts, and going further afield, Statia, Sabre, St. Bart's, French and Dutch St. Martin, British and U.S. Virgin Islands, of course Puerto Rico, the U.S. mainland, the East Coast, all the way across to the West Coast of the United States. And indeed there are various time zones, so you have morning and you have afternoon. So wherever you are in the U.S., if you're on the West Coast, you're probably just about, they're 4 hours behind us, so it's just about midday there, or thereabout. Well, whatever it is, we're greeting you at this time. Of course, up in Canada and Europe, all up and down Europe, we have persons who are planted there for some reason, whether going to school, visiting, or passing through, whatever the case might be. I say greetings to you. I know, of course, over in Asia as well, we do have a following there in the Republic of China, Taiwan, and other parts of Asia. So I've covered the globe, so to speak. I don't think we have anyone up in Antarctica or anywhere of that distance, or in that distance, but I want to say wherever you are, and you are blessed to be listening to Von Radio, I welcome you, and welcome you once again to the show. Indeed, we normally start the show with, some of the most recent happenings, whether it's the passing of someone or birthday greetings. But let's start with the passing or condolences that we express at this point in the show. I want to first of all express my profound and deep sympathies to the Herbert family on the passing of Mrs. Jennifer Herbert Hodge. We just say Jennifer Hodge for short, or some would say Jen. Of course, Jennifer is the sister of Weber Herbert, who is the manager and the one who guides the ship here at Von Radio, and of course Myron Herbert Coote, and all of the siblings who are grieving the passing of their sister at this point in time. Of course, Mikhail, who is one of our workers there at the Ministry of Communications and Works, Principal Secretary that is. He is the nephew of Jennifer, and all those who are hearing my voice who are related to Jennifer, of course. I want to express my profound sympathies on her passing, and it was indeed a shocker earlier this week when we would have learned of her passing. And I said to myself, when I sat in the chair where I was, I said life is so fluid, and it can come to an abrupt end in a short moment. And many of us who are not expecting such news, but such is the situation that we're facing these days. You wake up in the morning and all is well, and then you get these news that come to you that someone has passed, and it is always a difficult situation to embrace. I have said before, though, that life is what it is. You're born, you live, and you die. But that final phase is what it is always a difficult phase to embrace, because there's a finality to death. Persons go, and we never see them again. Or those of us who believe in an afterlife will have that thought and would hope that is the case. But be that as it may, Jennifer, of course, would have made her mark, and she certainly would have left a rich legacy behind. She was an educator by profession, and she would have been in the field of education for many, many years. She was a deputy head teacher. Well, of course, started her life as a teacher, and of course, I believe her main area of teaching was English and other subjects. But most people who would recall her impact on their lives would talk about her impact in the field of in the area of English. And of course, those who would recall, she would have moved up the ladder from teaching, deputy head teacher, to a head teacher, and also she became the principal education officer at one point as well. So she would have had her exploits. So she was seen as a pioneer in education, of course, because anyone who would have climbed the ladder in that regard, you can certainly say that they would have left their mark at every rung of the ladder when they were climbing that ladder and impacting the lives of all of the children that she would have interacted with. Many may say that, you know, she was somewhat brutal in some cases too, you know, because when she spoke, she was kind of tough and she didn't crack a smile, but you know she meant well. I use the word brutal, but it's sort of a better word. But I was never taught by her, but I would have gone through the sixth form here in Charlestown, and she was an invigilator at one point, or more than one time, or one occasion, I would think. That was my level of interaction, because she never taught me, but she oversaw some of the exams that were being administered up there, like end of term and so forth. And that is the type of interaction that before you got the paper from her, she would say some words, kind words, but brutal words too, but you understood, because I think she meant well in every word that she uttered. And of course, that is why she was loved dearly by many here on the island of Nevis, and even in the church life as well. She was a Methodist, from what I can recall, and indeed she would have had her impact there as well too. So she is one who you would say had some values. She was a woman of integrity and a virtuous woman, of course, and indeed her impact would be there to be felt for many years to come. And that's why I say she has left a rich legacy behind, because you see, when it comes to a legacy, it is the impact you would have had and how that impact will stretch throughout a person's journey, or how persons will speak of you when you're gone, and what that impact would create behind. Because there are persons who I can say to you who would have gone into the field of teaching or the profession of teaching, who were impacted by her, and now they in turn are creating that impact on the lives of our young men and young women at this point in time. So there was indeed, or there is indeed, a legacy that has been left behind by Jennifer. Well, may her soul rest in peace, and of course at some point we'll hear when the funeral service, or celebration of her life will be held. And I'm sure the entire Nevision public, but most of those who would have had a close relationship with Jennifer, would certainly be attending and paying their last respects as well. Earlier this morning, we would have heard of the passing of Rubelette Atherton. She's someone who I knew for some time, the wife of someone who we knew well as well. Also, I should say, Anderson. What was Anderson's name? But anyway, in my days of, being around TDC rentals back in the 90s and so forth, all of us would have been familiar with that yellow bus, that yellow school bus that was down there on the waterfront, parked right on the right-hand side of the entrance to the iron shed, as we call it. That's where they would have plied their trade, and also had a shop in Bath Village as well. Rubelette was there every step of the way with Anderson Atherton. Yes, the name just came back. Anderson is now passed, of course, yes. But Rubelette would have passed this morning, and of course Rubelette herself would have had her years of plying her trade in the entrepreneurial business, I call it that, because even though they had a shop, there were other things I'm sure she was doing, and she certainly would have worked hard and tirelessly to raise her family and send her children to school, provide for them, provide for herself, provided a shelter and all that. So she would have had her years of hard work and dedication towards family and towards community. And when we learned of the passing of Rubelette this morning, of course, that was a shocker to all of us who didn't hear of any illness or anything of that sort. I didn't hear of any for sure, but life is such these days. So such is the fragility of life. And of course, she's no longer with us. But indeed, I want to express my sympathies to Janelle and Wilson and all of the family members who are grieving at this time. The whole of Bath community, I'm sure, is grieving at this time as well, because no matter how much time someone spends on earth, at some point they will have an impact on someone or some persons. And indeed, many persons today would be grieving as a result of the passing of Rubilet. So I want to just wrap up by expressing my sympathies once again to the entire Bath community, to the entire family. Nana is not her daughter, no, but Nana is the daughter of now deceased Anderson. So of course Nana is a part of the family. Nana, you all know Nana, the chatterbox that we know so well and have grown to love. So she was a part of the family in many regards. So I want to express my sympathies to her as well. And of course, we will listen up to see when the time comes as well to celebrate the life of Rubilet and pay our respects at that point in time. And anyone else who are grieving at this time, I want to express my sympathies to you and pray that God will continue to provide the strength and the guidance and all that is needed to sustain your family at this point in time, and to ease the burden of the grief that you're going through at this time as well. So look towards God for his blessings and protection, so that you can see these difficult times, you can overcome, these difficult times. And it is what it is. It's life, and life have many twists and turns to it. So I would want to leave that there for now, because it's always difficult and you just cannot come up with the right words at these difficult times, you know. Sometimes you say, I know how you're feeling, but listen, no one knows what someone will be going through at this point in time. So the best thing we can say is wish you all the best, and may God continue to guide you and protect you through the difficult times. Okay, let's move on. Birthdays, anyone who was celebrating and who would have celebrated this week, I want to wish you a happy belated birthday. Those who are celebrating today, have immense fun today. Enjoy yourself. And as I always say, and I'll say it every time I talk about birthday celebrations, spend every penny you got on yourself, or spend the most of what you have left on yourself, and enjoy it. Because once you have health and strength, you'll recover tomorrow and the day after. So once you're working and you can go out and work and replenish what you'd have spent, go ahead and spend as much as you can and enjoy your life. You hear people are departing every day, every minute, every hour, whatever the case might be. So spend it like it's your last, but we wish you many more years of celebration though. And we hope that you'll be around for many more years to celebrate and to contribute to the development of the island of Nevis, of course. But go ahead and celebrate and have fun today. I didn't have a list of anyone, so I can't call anyone by name. But you know who you are. You know who. We know you know who you are, and so we want you to go ahead and celebrate accordingly. Okay, thank you. Let's move on. Before I came here this afternoon, there were some showers. Beautiful, wonderful showers outside. And of course, we have had some rain over the last couple of days. Earlier this morning, it was a joy to hear some rain, a heavy downpour on the roof, and that was good. Every time we get rain, it is a blessing. And so we had some rain just now, but as soon as the rain subsided, the sun came out again, and the heat was on again. But that is life. And if someone tells you you change like the weather, that is an example outside there, because a few minutes ago, maybe about half an hour ago, we had that downpour and then the sun came out. I don't know what it's like outside, because I'm enclosed in an area here where I can't see outside, so I don't know. But if it is still hot and sunny outside, well, such is life as well. We welcome the sun, we welcome the rain, we welcome the wind, we welcome whatever situation it is. All we are asking God's protection for is that we don't get more than we can bear. And so we're in the hurricane season at this point in time. We have seen a tremendous storm that would have made its way across the eastern Caribbean into the Caribbean Sea, clipped parts of Mexico and up to the United States. I believe it made landfall somewhere in the Texas area, Corpus Christi or something like that. I don't recall the exact location, but had some impact there in Texas and went into Oklahoma, up into the Tennessee Valley, and boy, that storm took a marvelous check from off of the Atlantic or the eastern, western African coast through the Atlantic, through the eastern Caribbean countries like down south from us, countries like Grenada, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Tobago, Barbados got some impact from Beryl as well, St. Lucia, and of course Jamaica, and like I said, parts of Mexico. But it was one of those storms to open up our eyes and tell us to be alert at all times. Continue with your preparations. I know this is a time of anxiety. Some of us might be fearful, and it's okay, it's perfectly all right to be fearful at this time. But bear in mind that we have been through these situations before. We all know that from the 1st of June to the 30th of November, anything can happen within those months. But indeed, we still have some anxiety as the season go by, because based on the report that we have had, this year is expected to be one above average. It's an above average season, which means, and based on what has just happened with Beryl, it has started very early. It's the first Category 5 storm in the month of June, and that is very profound in that we have to expect more in the future, but in expecting more, we're also praying that they stay away from us. And if they impact our neighboring islands, we're hoping that the net results or the end result is not as devastating as we have seen down in Carriacou, Petit Martinique, and those smaller islands down south. And that is indeed a difficult thing to fathom, really. But such is the nature of the weather. Be that as it may, continue your preparations, and of course we have certainly seen an improvement in our building codes here on the island of Nevis. Some of us who are old enough would recall what happened back in 1989 with Hugo. Hugo was one of those storms that we never saw before 1999. A lot of us were not prepared for it, and of course the roof and building structures were different then. We haven't seen a major devastating storm that would have passed through St. Kitts Nevis in recent times. Yes, we've had Lenny, we have had what do you call it now, Hurricane George, Hurricane Marilyn. All those storms would have passed. The most recent one was sometime in 2008, I believe, was Omar, which did a lot of damage to the Four Seasons Resort. But in terms of challenges with hurricanes, we haven't seen any major storm like a Category 5. But we have done quite a number of things, and I want to commend the various administrations that would have ensured that the necessary legislation was amended or has been amended to improve and ensure that we have a much more resilient construction industry here on the island of Nevis in terms of the product that we do get, the end product that is that we do get. So our contractors are doing what is necessary, and of course the building code has been amended to ensure that we are getting much more resilient structures. But be that as it may, we still continue our preparation and hope for the best. Okay, so continue to follow the news, continue to follow all of the weather reports, but stick with those reliable sources for your information. Here on Von Radio, you can get your hurricane updates in the morning, in the afternoon, whenever. I don't know all of the times, but I know just before 7 a.m. in the morning, you get at least that morning report as to what is happening out in the Atlantic. So stick with Von Radio. Anything that comes out of or emanates from the Nevis Disaster Management Department, those are your good sources of information, because a lot of persons will be on Facebook and YouTube and playing meteorologists. Never went to school, but they have the answer to everything that is out there when it comes to the weather. If you want to follow them, it's up to you, but I am advising you and admonishing you to follow Von Radio 860 AM for your updates and also whatever emanates from the Nevis Disaster Management Department and any of the reputable sources here in the Federation as well. Okay, let's move on from that. Mango Fest. Last weekend was our 10th hosting of Mango Fest. And you know, I have to talk about it again. I spoke about it last night because I was here last night on Von Radio with Keith This and That Scarborough for his program, Government at Work. But I personally have to speak about it again because you know why? Mango Fest this year was a blast. That is my term for it, really. You can use all kinds of adjectives, but it was a blast. As I said last night, I'm saying it again, I left home last Sunday afternoon, somewhere around 1:45 or 2 o'clock thereabout, and when I got there, it was seamless. I got into the park within minutes. It took me longer to walk from down on the beach up to the entrance that I went into than to get in the gate. So that is what first improvement I saw, and that was somewhat of a reassuring situation. Got into the park and I went about my business. I went there to taste these mango dishes, and I had I believe 14 coupons, and let me say first and foremost, I used some, gave away a couple, and I still ended up taking back home 3 in my pocket because some of the samples were enough to fill me up quickly, yeah. But this year, no one can complain, and I am not hearing any complaints. Yes, there are some persons who are coming up with some minor, additions that they'd like to see, or minor complaints, I call them. But listen, based on what happened last year, this year would have erased all of the memories of last year. And so I want to commend the Premier of Nevis, Mark Brantley. It was his idea, that was his vision 10 years ago. And of course, at that time, the CEO of the NTA at that time was Mr. Greg Phillip, bought into the idea. And of course, all who was there at that time at the NTA, some would have left and some are still there. So I also want to commend those who are still there, who would have stayed on board and have continued to push this particular event. And indeed, the current CEO, Mr. Devon Liebert, the marketing manager, Mr. Fayan Jones, and of course this year they would have bought on board Mr. Noah Mills. And indeed, all of the folks who are still there, and the volunteers, everybody, and even the Ministry of Tourism, everyone who played their part to ensure that not only the festival was good, but Nevis looked good too. The whole of Nevis got an A+ for that event, and we appreciate that, because here's what happened. Persons came to the island from many different countries and islands, far-flung places. Europe, I don't know if anyone was there from Asia, perhaps. Well, persons who are in the Federation who are from Asia were there. I don't know if they flew in from Asia somewhere to come here, but you see persons who are of Asian background who are there. And of course you have persons from the United States, persons from France, persons from South America, persons from the Caribbean, starting all the way up in Puerto Rico, come all the way down south, down to Barbados and Grenada, and all the way down south to Trinidad, and then all other islands in between, Anguilla and Antigua. Of course, Antigua was represented there by chefs who were participating in the competition as well that was held. So we had, all of the national flags were being flown there, even though they were not in the sky, but they were there representing the various countries, and we want to thank them for coming. All of those persons had to utilize perhaps our hotel and guest houses. Some of them rented cars, some came from St. Kitts and utilized the water taxi facility, and of course a lot of monies were circulated in Nevis over the weekend, the Mango Fest weekend, from the 4th to the 7th. So that is what those type of activities do in terms of injecting that level of economic activity into the economy, for whether it's for 4 days, whether it's for 1 day. It was well needed, and persons who were down there with their little stalls on the outside. All of the restaurants down at Penny's there would have done some business, lots of business too, because all those bars were rampack. There's a song out this, rampack. Well, that song was resonating in my head all day today. Rampack. That's how I want to, describe what happened down there at Penny's on that particular day, Sunday, the 7th of July. But as I'm down there, let me speak a little bit about the Malcolm Gishard Recreational Park. It is a beauty. I spoke about it some weeks ago, and I talk about the green space and the trees and everything that makes that park what it is. It is one that all Nivisians should be proud of. And I recall a conversation I had with the ambassador, the local ambassador, Ambassador Michael Lynn. And I told him one day in his company, I said to him, Ambassador Lynn, once we get this park, we're going to utilize it, and the whole of Nevis is going to benefit from it. We're going to take care of it so you can be proud as the ambassador. The whole of the Republic of China, Taiwan can be proud, and Nevisians will be proud, because this is more or less a partnership between the Republic of China, Taiwan, and the island of Nevis. And I told him that we'll take care of it. And so far we have seen the level of activities that we expected. And when you go down there, I want to commend all of the workers, from the manager there, what's his name, Dane Sandiford, I believe his name is, yes, and all of the workers who work there to clean, manicure the lawn, trim the hedges, clean the bathrooms, and make sure the place is aesthetically pleasing. It is the showpiece that we have here in Nevis, that anyone who comes to Nevis, whether it's for this Culturama or any other occasion, make sure to visit the Malcolm Gishard Recreational Park. And then once you're there, you go down to the bars down there at Penny's, Sunshine, Randy, and what's his name, Weekends, and all of the other bars that are down there. Go down and give them your patronage, or your patronage, whatever the word is. Spend some money with them and enjoy the ambience. If you're in Nevis and you're home sitting down and you get bored someday, get in your vehicle, go down to Penny's and just sit and watch the ocean then. Walk around, do whatever is necessary, because that will bring some life to your body and some fulfillment to you once you go down there, because you won't believe that you're in Nevis, but you're still in Nevis, but you can be anywhere in the world when you're down there standing up. And that is why we are competing with other parts of the world with that same park. We can match up with any place in Miami, any place in South America, wherever you go. Right here in Nevis, you can get that duplication right down there. Nevisian style, that is, yeah? So, I want us to utilize that park, take care of it. It is our park, the people of Nevis Park, and I want you to enjoy it. Thanks to the Honorable Mark Brantley for his instrumentality in making that happen. I recall he brought that to Cabinet, and we were talking about it, and there were some difficulties and some challenges, but you would never know about those difficulties and challenges when you look at the end result. But of course, he stuck with it and pressed on and persevered, and we have that beautiful park down there. Moving right along now, well, we're getting off of Mango Fest. We're into another festival that is coming up shortly. Of course, Culturama 50 is right around the corner. And you hear how jovial I sound and how excited I am. Listen, I am excited because when you listen to some on the other side, it's all like Culturama, the sky is falling in, and Culturama won't be held. Yes, we're having Culturama this year, and it will be a grand celebration. Culturama 50. The music is already on the radio. The Queens are preparing. All of the troops already getting themselves together. The bands are already blazing the airwaves with their music. People are already in a festive mood, because you see, coming out of Mango Festival, people are now expecting Culturama to match the vibe and the energy that was there last weekend, and it will be duplicated and surpass what it was for Mango Fest, because Culturama 50, a lot of work has gone into it to ensure that things happen the way it should for Culturama 50. Von Radio is playing its part, because I understand they have a song competition here, and my understanding is that there are lots of hits that have taken place on the website. I'm sure, Von, you'll have to increase your bandwidth to make sure it doesn't crash on the folks that are getting on, because people are logging on and getting a listen of those songs and listening to those songs and are about to vote. So they have to listen first before they vote. So, you know, they'll be visiting. The traffic would be heavy, so make sure the bandwidth is there. But of course, from my personal standpoint, there are two activities that I will be spearheading this year over there at Herbert Beach. And first one will be on July the 31st. That is Wednesday, July the 31st. We dubbed that Homecoming Celebration 2024 over there at Herbert Beach. Now, this is essentially an activity to welcome our returning nationals, welcome our visitors, and put on some activities over there so that they can get the vibes going and get the feeling going for Culturama. So when you come down there on July the 31st, that is Wednesday, July the 31st, well, of course, you'll have music. You will have a Calypso tent, meaning all of the finalists, and I understand this year they would have increased the numbers, so you'll have 9 finalists along with the Calypso King, the current Calypso King. So they would be performing one song, so that's a tent with one song per person. So you can tell yourself you'll get 10 songs down there from all Calypsonians. That would be their way to let you get a feel of the song that they'll be doing finals night, which would be August 2nd. That's a Friday night. Of course, we'll have an appearance by the Queen, the Miss Culture Queen contestants. They will be there and give you a short speech, so to speak, to welcome you to Nevis and invite you to the show, which will be on Sunday evening, August 4th, up there at the Cultural Complex. And like I said, we'll have music, we'll have string band music, we'll have some DJs, and of course the Collision Band. We'll also have artisans, vendors who will be there trying to display and sell some of their products that they would have made. There'll be a section for them. There'll also be an appearance by the 2 troops that will be coming out of St. James. We're going to confirm that for sure, but at least I'm saying the expectation is that they'll come and display the costume, and those who would not have bought a costume as yet may very well be enticed to get into a troop, and so they'll be there that night as well. And indeed, the highlight, or one of the major happening down there, would be a bingo. 5,000 will be the grand prize in terms of the package, but we'll split that up in 2. The first game would be 2,000, second would be 3,000, for a total of 5,000. So there are 2 games. I don't necessarily want to give one person $5,000. You give persons a chance. It would be good to say 5 games of 1,000, but that would take up a long time throughout the night. So we say 2,000 and 3,000 for a total of 5,000. Yeah. So we'll have activities starting down there. We say 7 p.m., but of course we have to get the place ready. Music will be down there in advance of 7 p.m. So once we get the booths constructed and persons start to prepare their stuff, they'll come down from any time. If they want to come from 5 p.m. in the afternoon and start selling, we're ready for you. And of course we'll get that done. So we're going to start our major preparation in earnest this upcoming week and see and make sure that we can get to the end by the 31st of July. So then we start then, and then we have a lapse of a couple days, and then we're back there on August 5th for Herbert Beach Affair. The Herbert Beach Affair will be starting at 12 noon on the 5th of August. We go down until midnight and then beyond. So we're going all the way to 6 a.m. on Tuesday, the 6th of August. So 12 to 6. I don't know if we'll go to 8 o'clock in the morning. I don't know. But if people are there and music is playing and the mood is right, the people can stay and enjoy. But I'm asking all of the booth owners, you prepare for the Herbert Beach Affair event, and then also have someone home to prepare breakfast, because we're selling breakfast down there. But in all that, we're going to have some aerobics as well by the exercise guru that we have here on the island of Nevis, Mr. Macefield Nisbet. He will come down the morning of the 6th, and he would make sure give you a good workout down there. And then you'll take a swim or whatever the case might be, and when you're done, you purchase a breakfast. You can either stay there and eat it, or you can go home and have it at home. But we are trying to make things exciting this year down at Herbert Beach, because that is what is planned for Culturama. The whole of Culturama, we are expecting to have excitement, fun, and it would have to be done in a safe way though. We are asking our people to adhere to the rules and the laws and make sure that we are having a safe and a crime-free Culturama. So those who are expecting the worst to happen and like the sky is falling in, I am certain that people are leaving their homeland and coming here to have fun, and nothing is going to stop them, because they ain't even care about what you're saying or what negativity you're spewing. They're coming home to have fun. So fun, games, food, and music and everything would be down at Herbert Beach. We are asking you to come along. So let me at this point welcome all who have journeyed home thus far. I know we have quite a number of persons who would have come down from the United Kingdom. We have persons who have come home from the United States already, persons who are here from neighboring islands, and of course some who would have come home for Mango Fest and have determined they're staying until the end of Culturama. So I want to bid you a vibrant and real good welcome to Nevis. Welcome home. Welcome to what I call paradise on earth. And while you're here, you know, there are some persons who seem to want to suggest to you that you are either your eyes are lying to you or they're telling the truth. Well, I will say this to you. You'll hear a lot of lies being spewed while you're here. You'd have heard it before you come, and you're still hearing it, because you're still hearing that no water is running in the pipe. Nothing goes so. You're still hearing that electricity goes out every minute. Nothing tall goes so. You're still hearing about the roads in a state of disrepair and the worst roads in the Caribbean. Nothing tall goes so. I am saying to you is either your eyes will be lying to you when you see what you see, or you'll tell yourself that I don't want to hear a thing from those on the other side. They've been lying for the last year, for the last 2 years, and they keep lying today. When you drive around Nevis, your eyes can't lie to you when you go over to the Uwale Water Taxi facility. How could your eyes lie to you when you see that beautiful arrival facility over there? Beautiful. And you know, you can park and go in and have a look, you know. Tell the security I just came to take a peep as to what's inside there. Listen, it's not off limit at all. It's not off limit. Just go and respectfully say, let me have a look. Let me have a look at what they say don't look good. Because it's the most beautiful thing you'll ever see. And while I'm at that, right, I had some numbers here. I just mentioned about the Uwale Water Taxi facility. I just recall that I did not provide the numbers for June. Because you know I come here every month at the end of each month or the start of the following month and give you the numbers in terms of the passenger traffic over there. So here we go. For June 2024, we had a total of 24,409 passengers who would have used that same Uwale Water Taxi facility over there. The same facility that they had so much to say about, the same facility where they said nothing happening, the same facility that they use more than a person like me who works so hard to make sure that it was constructed along with the Nevis Island administration. We made sure we built it, we made sure we had it nicely painted, we made sure we had it as a safe entry point into Nevis. So 24,409 passengers would have used that facility. We had 12,303 persons who went out, meaning went from Uwale to Reggae Beach and beyond. We had 12,106 persons who came in from Reggae Beach and other points across St. Kitts. So we were running a tally for the months of January, February, March, April down to May. Up to the month of May, we had 120,451 passengers who would have utilized that facility. So you add the number from June, 24,409, you're now up to, or we're now up to 144,860 passengers who would have utilized that service for the first 6 months of the year. And based on my tally, we are ahead of where we were last year. I don't have that number, but we'll always keep those data and we'll have them. I'll check my book and come back to you and let you know where we are in terms of how much we would have advanced beyond this point or the end of June last year. But I can tell you safely that we have gone beyond that point based on what we are seeing thus far for the year. So the Wally Water Taxi Facility, when you get a chance, drive over there. Just stand around, have a look, and look at the activity that you see, activities that you see going on over there. You have taxi operators who are making money. Sometimes they're not in the area to take persons, you know, who are looking for some service to Pennies or wherever else, because they're out with business already. We have, you know, the boat operators who cannot complain, because they're back and forth every minute of the day. They're back and forth. You have the workers who are there. Of course, they have to be paid. NASPA makes some money, so they have to pay those workers. Same way with the boat operators. They make their money. They have a large contingent of workers as well, a large staff of workers. You also have, you know, other areas such as the suppliers of certain products to those boat operators, like those who sell fuel and lubricants and so forth. All those things have to be bought. So the entire economic spin-off from that particular pair can be felt throughout the entire economy of Nevis. So we call it a revenue generating project that was conceptualized by the Nevis Island Administration and executed by the Nevis Island Administration under the CCM government, that is. And indeed, all areas of the economy are benefiting, and there is more to come, because of course this particular facility is now the main point where we can say you can get across to St. Kitts in minutes. So it is well, it's adding to our you know, commerce, internal commerce, that is, between St. Kitts and Nevis, and we like it, we love it, and the people who are utilizing it are equally as happy and as joyous about that particular project. So we'll continue to keep it safe. I continue to admonish our operators of boats to adhere to all of the marine laws and try to protect us, or citizens who would utilize the service over there. So that's the Wally Water Taxi Facility. Can't knock it, can't say anything, just like they can't knock the what you call it there, the Mango Festival, because of course you have done all of the knocking that you can do. And when I say all the knocking, all of the criticism that you can bring to the table, you have done that. So there's nothing else to say but to give the facility all the credit that you can. So as you drive around, you know that same road that is in front of the water taxi, they stretch it from Cotton Ground all the way up to Nisbet Plantation. Beautiful surface. And let me say, this is the truth, I have interacted with persons who are normally bloggers on on Facebook and other social media platforms, and they have come to Nevis. Some of them hadn't come to Nevis or haven't come to Nevis for the last 10 years. But I know one of them or a couple of them who are here after 10 years or just about, and they have been bashing the island of Nevis. They have been saying the worst things about Premier Brantley, the worst thing about CCM, and the worst things about Nevis. And now they have come, they seem like they have to eat humble pie, because they've been taken around the island, you know. And they said they didn't know the road from Cotton Ground to Newcastle was already done. They didn't know the road up there in the bypass road from Pennies all the way over to the gas station. They didn't know it was done. They didn't know about Cedar View housing project. They've gone into that. They didn't know about the police station, and when they passed, they see one of the best police station in the Eastern Caribbean. And irrespective of what might be said, that is one of the best structures in the Eastern Caribbean that demonstrate our respect and regard for the police and the effort that they exert here on the island of Nevis to protect and serve, as their motto says. Yeah? So they have not seen that, but they're seeing it now. They haven't seen all of these brand new pickups that the police are driving up and down Nevis in. As a matter of fact, when they left here, they had some old Jeeps that were bought from one of NRP supporters, that the police, they were driving up and down and breaking down every minute, and up in the garage there, up in Hermitage area. Every now and then you see them up there. Yeah, but these brand new pickups are what we would have invested in to make sure that our police are mobile, on the road, going out there, and there's no delay, no hindrances for them to go and get their work done. They ain't going to talk about these things. And while you're driving around, those of you already here and who would come, go up to Viogen's boating facility, go up to Shaw's Road, go up to Butler's, go up to the top of Craddock Road here, Mountain View Crescent or housing development. Go over to Cherry Garden, just above Cherry Garden. You can make the comparison when you go over there as well too, because that Chimney View Crescent is one of those development that we said we have to provide our people with much better housing, much more secured. And that is an example right up there, Chimney View. And also the same road from the Mundo Track, the same Mundo Track that they cuss every day. Same Mundo Track, one of the best in the Eastern Caribbean, the best surface anyway. And also you move from there, you drive all the way up to Brown Hill on that beautiful back, what do you call it? Back road. Let me call it a back road because that was done in recent times, in recent years. That connects you to Brown Hill. And then when you're done, you can go up to Sandy's, get a chicken later this evening, and then you drive back down and come to the Island Main Road and drive all the way around Nevis. But everywhere you go, you see development. Everywhere you go, you see the efforts of the concerned citizens movement to advance this island. And even electricity, you know. If you want to keep a log as to when electricity goes out in Nevis. But I'll tell you this much. You don't have to keep a log when they put a notice on the radio, because they'll tell you from time to time during the week that they're doing maintenance service in this area, maintenance service in that area. And the example is there to show, because as you go around the island, you see all these brand new poles, electricity poles being planted all up and down Nevis. You know what that is? We are securing the network in the event there are any storms. At least you'll have some resilience in the system. Yeah? So when you see that, you know that the work is being done. They have to clean the lines to ensure that all of those vegetations are not touching these lines. So when you hear the notice here on Von Radio or see it on Facebook somewhere, those outage is for a specific reason. But I want to tell you, as you go around that plant up there with 3 Wärtsilä engines inside of it, all of them were bought by the CCM. All of them were bought by CCM. One was bought in 2004, one was bought in 2016, and one was bought in 2021. And those are the reliability that we are seeing right now here on the island of Nevis. As a matter of fact, those of you who don't know, you know, sometimes Grenelec would call Nevlec and ask for a part, you know. I wonder if you all know that. Nevlec, the parts up there stored up there too. But of course, if you're part of Carelec, which is the Caribbean Electricity, whatever you call it, then you know you have brothers and sister companies who you will try to help from time to time. But that same Nevlec up there, they are normally assisting wherever they can. And that is what you do as a government and as an institution. You protect your institutions. And that is what the government have done with Nevlec. And Nevlec, the power supply is sure and sound. And these are the things you would never hear. They well know, you know, they well know, but they would never talk about it. They continue to call on the island of Nevis as if they were not born and raised here. Man, you're born and raised here, big up your island. Love your island, because this island has been good to many of you out there who are calling down this island. But if you're angry with the island of Nevis, you can't blame the island of Nevis, you know. Blame yourself. Because Nevis has been providing opportunities for all of us. Every single one of us have gotten the opportunity to go to school here, find a job, advance ourselves, and excel to the point where we can now give back. We can now give back in terms of our resources, in terms of our intellect, and in terms of everything that we have to offer to this island to ensure that we leave a legacy behind for those who are to come thereafter. But I ain't gonna join nobody to call on Nevis. Not when I have to live here until I die. And not when I know that persons behind us who will come along will have to live here as well too. We have to do the best we can to ensure we secure this island. And so those of you who are already here, and those of you who are to come, those who are coming with a mindset that things are bad, you're going to be so disappointed when you come. You'll be disappointed. But keep in mind, all over the world things are difficult. Nevis as well. But in our state of difficulty, whatever there is, people are running, coming to Nevis, you know. They're coming from Dominica, they're coming from St. Lucia, they're coming from Trinidad, they're coming from Barbados, they're coming from where else, Tobago, they're coming from Jamaica. Even our nationals abroad are now seeing it fit to come home. Come home to find a work, because work there in Nevis. Sorry to put it that way, but it's the best way I can put it. There is work in Nevis, so they're now coming home. And we're welcoming everyone. All we're saying, those of you who come here to make a living, just kindly respect the island of Nevis and its laws. There are opportunities, yes. You can utilize or take advantage of those opportunities, but keep in mind while you're here, respect the rules, the regulations, the laws, whatever it is. And so, all of the talk you hear out there is what it is. Oppositions will talk, there's no doubt about it, but oppositions also have to be fair and balanced about their approach to opposing. Because I hear them talking about Mark Brantley and his leadership. You know, but he's the best person to chart the course of this island at this particular point in time. As a matter of fact, when you compare the leadership of Mark Brantley, and no matter what he said out there about fair share, whether we got our rightful share, I don't have a thing to say about that other than to say, when the NRP was in government, and when they spoke so highly about their leader, what they call him, the miracle man, I don't want to touch the Honorable Joseph Parry this afternoon, but I'm going to leave that. But you see, when you open your mouth to talk, Mr. Parry, when you open your mouth, you put yourself back into the fray, you know. I'm just saying. Because if you're done with politics, sometimes you just have to move on and go ahead. But if you open your mouth and you start to criticize the Honorable Mark Brantley or the leadership of the Honorable Mark Brantley or the CCM party, then of course we'll have to, you know, point out where the errors of your ways or the NRP when they were in government. Because I'll say this, you know, I hear them making a song and dance about the monies that have come from the Taiwanese, that the Prime Minister would have alerted or indicated to the Premier Brantley that those monies were coming to the Federation from the Republic of China, Taiwan. It's an agreement of $35 million over a 5-year period, which is $7 million per year. And I was in the federal cabinet. The Honorable Mark Brantley was there, Honorable Eric Evelyn was there. He never was mentioned in any cabinet. I don't know how were we supposed to find out if he didn't come and mention in cabinet. But you see, those on the other side would always give NRP a narrative to run with. Because who paid the piper call the tune? It's only that. Put that aside, right? So what the Premier said is that the Prime Minister, Prime Minister Drew, would have indicated such, that these monies were being made available to the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. As such, the Prime Minister would have made a portion available to the Nevis Island administration, of course, the Premier being Mark Brantley. But that is commendable. I have to say it is commendable, because here's what it is. History has already been made, and it's there in black and white. And no matter what the NRP says and does, the NRP has always given the people of Nevis a 6 upside down. Put a better way, 649. Here's why. You know, when this thing about VAT was introduced in 2010, all of our VAT money was being sent to St. Kitts, you know. NRP was taking up our VAT money and sending it over to St. Kitts to put in a pool to get back the same amount that they send, or maybe $100 more or $1,000 more, saying they're getting 24% back. When in truth and in fact, the SIDF, not the SIDF, the CBI program was so vibrant then, and monies were being put into the SIDF, and the NRP never raised a voice to say we want our share of it. You know what we got out of the SIDF? A loan for $4 million to pay for those lands up at the airport. The Harwoods got it. The people of Nevis didn't get nothing out of that. All we had to do now is turn around and pay back a $4 million loan. So when they're not talking about money, whatever is coming, $5 million is coming per month, or $5.5 million thereabout, plus that additional monies, those additional monies that are coming from the Republic of China, Taiwan, which we thank them for. But you have to be fair and balanced. Lord, when you're there making noise, the facts are there, history has already been made, history has already been written, but the NRP want you to view history how they want to put it over to you. They want to change up history to suit themselves. But back in those days, when we were saying it is unfair to take up our VAT money, hard-earned taxpayers' money in Nevis, to send to St. Kitts, to put into a pool, to come back to Nevis, and when it comes back is the same amount of money that comes back, or maybe an extra 100, an extra 1,000. So what the sense and what the use? And you know what was happening? The NRP couldn't pay their bills at that point in time. They couldn't pay the bills at that point in time till we end up right in the hands of the IMF. You all seem to forget these things, you know. I wouldn't forget at all. And whoever out there don't want to hear what has happened in this island, I'm going to remind you, if you don't want to listen, so be it. But the bottom line is, when we are talking, we have to understand there's always 1, 2, 3 sides to everything. That is their side, but I'm telling you about the side that I'm familiar with. So we ended up in the hands of the IMF. Those of you who had instruments, government financial instruments, either T-bills, treasury bills, or whatever, Social Security lost money. All of the churches in Nevis, Methodist Church, Anglican Church, all of them who had investments in any government instrument, lost 50% of that. So you're going to church every week and putting your money in the collection plate. The church now decide, let us invest in a certain type of instrument. And of course, when the time came, heartless as ever, 50% of that was lost. Many persons haven't recovered from that up to today. They haven't recovered because when you lose what you were hoping to grow over the years, and so when you retire or when it gets to the point of maturity and you say you want to withdraw now, nothing there to withdraw. That's same in happy or they're making noise. Boy, I think you all better shut your all mouth and go and sit down, yeah? Because when you're going to take up our hard-earned taxpayers' money and send to St. Kitts, expecting to get what? And then all of the resources that you needed here in Nevis to build roads and do whatever is necessary, you have to wait until some money come back. Sometimes it's the same money come back. So what's the sense? NRP was the one who was responsible for that. We came into government and we said in 2013, no. We need our money to build the island of Nevis. Things are hard in Nevis. Were hard then. And we needed our money. But who want to forget can forget. The good thing and the endearing thing about history is that it is there for us to read. It is there for us to recall. And sometimes it repeats itself. And that is the thing about history. And that's why I love history. And many of us who are history buff, you know, we can say all kind of things that happened during Columbus days and during the Arawaks and Carib days. But this is now Nevis and St. Kitts. And no one in St. Kitts can get angry with me. Because I wasn't there, but I'm recalling what happened then. And if you don't want to hear it, those of you who are hearing it, well, too bad. But these are the facts. These are the facts that we were in a relationship then that meant nothing to the island of Nevis. Because all of the CBI money, all of the SIDF money, all of it was staying in St. Kitts. All of it was staying there. So now this former Prime Minister, what's his name, Timothy? I look at, you know, I like to read the Bible, you know, because I'm going to leave you with this. I'm going to leave you with this. 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 10. Those of you who have your Bible, go on your phone, search for it. For the love of money is the root of all evil. Because all the money that they talk about, they kept whatever over there. And Nevis people had to go and struggle. We had to struggle. You and the amount of passport that was sold. And then you focus on Mark Brantley. Focus on Mark Brantley until such time. It's up to you. But if 32,606 passports were sold between 2015 and 2022, that's enough money. Enough money, and you subtract 500 million from whatever the amount was, it's still going to leave a lot of money. And now you're focused on one man. The narrative is there. Even though Timo say what? Every dollar that goes to Nevis is one less dollar for the island of St. Kitts or the people of St. Kitts. People of Nevis still jumping up behind Timo. I gotta jump up. Maybe I hope the piper call it soon. Anyway, my time is almost up, but let me go in my wrap-up phase and tell the people of Nevis and tell those who are coming home for Culturama, get here safely and come on down with a mindset to enjoy Culturama. You'll be among friends, family, loved ones. You'll have a chance to connect, reconnect, and re-establish what was ever missing from your family life or whatever the case might be.
Opinions expressed expressed on the preceding program were solely those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Nevis Broadcasting Company Limited or its advertisers.
Just listening to a repeat edition of the On Point program that was first aired on July 12th, 2024.
You're listening to Vaughan Radio from the Federation of St. Kitts Nevis.
The afternoon time has moved on to 2 o'clock.
With all the power from the tower, this is the powerhouse of the Eastern Caribbean, VON Radio, from the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis.
From the VON Newsline, this is a VON News Minute.
Good afternoon and in with today's second edition of the VON News Minute. I am Danella Thompson. In a move to assess the nation's fiscal health, the Cabinet of Antigua and Barbuda recently convened a high-level meeting